Anakin Skywalker has a long history of appearing in Star Wars games dating all the way back to the 1990s. From low-res Anakin, to savage about sand people Anakin, to burnt to a crisp Anakin. Today I'm going to go through every single one of them. Also, this video will just be Anakin appearances. I'll probably save Darth Vader for another video. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. The first Anakin Skywalker appearance in a video game was actually in one of the first Star Wars games I ever played, 1999 Star Wars Racer, which still to this day I think is the most realistic pod racing simulator ever created. You have Anakin's pod racer unlocked right from the start in all its pixelated glory. Anakin's pod has pretty average stats and you'll probably end up swapping it out for another pod soon. That's if Watto hasn't bullied you out of playing the game by this point.
You don't have enough money for that part. No deal.
Watto also hums a lot in this game. Maybe I should make a history of Watto video as well. Let me know if you want to see that.
Only money.
In 1999, Anakin appeared in Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace for PS1 and PC. But what's interesting about this game is that it not only featured Anakin, but also his mother Shmi, who would even present you with dialogue options, like an RPG. This is probably the most low-res version of Anakin I could find, and if it wasn't for Anakin shouting things like, "Wizard," you probably wouldn't even know it's him.
I won't help a murderer like you.
Also, one of the game's trailers contains the most cursed version of Anakin I have ever seen anywhere.
I won't help a murderer like
Did you know that in the year 2000, Anakin Speedway released, becoming the first video game to feature Anakin in the title and be primarily focused on his character? Although, to be honest, Anakin didn't really look like Anakin. He was just some random blonde kid.
We'll come back to meet the other pod racer pilots later.
Apparently, this game was made for kids age 4 and up and would allow you to create your own 2D pod racing test tracks and send your favorite races around them. I love that there were a bunch of pod racing games back then. I mean, they were such a huge part of the Phantom Menace's marketing, and I'm sure there are a bunch of kids out there who love this. I never played it, and it honestly looks kind of forgettable.
All right, this is gonna be really cool. That Joe is still a hyperdrive. I'll get him.
I finally understand why Anakin hates Tusken Raiders so much. In the year 2000, Star Wars Jedi Power Battles released, which features a mission where you play as Qui-Gon Jinn and need to escort little boy Anakin safely across the Tatooine desert as you're swarmed with Tusken Raiders. And not just the men. You're also attacked by Jawas and several of Darth Maul's probe droids, and Anakin is even voiced by Jake Lloyd, and his lines aren't just taken from the film, they're actually unique to this game.
Wizard, you found the hyperdrive.
In 2001, Anakin made an appearance in one of the greatest Star Wars games ever made, Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. Which was actually a pretty decent game if you remember playing it back in the day. This game was basically Star Wars' answer to Mario Kart, an inferior knockoff made to capitalize on the success of other casual couch racing games. Anakin appears in bobblehead version in this game, piloting a Naboo N1 starfighter, which is odd because you can also race as Sebulba in this game, and Sebulba has his pod racer. So why not give Anakin his pod racer for a racing game? Instead he gets the Naboo fighter. Oh well. The thing you use to destroy a massive battle station at the age of 10, no worries. I actually made a full video about this game and its history. Great game, you should go watch it, it's amazing. In 2001, Anakin made a brief appearance in Star Wars Obi-Wan, a game that to this day has still only been released on the original Xbox. Anakin appears in the final cutscene in the game just after you defeat Darth Maul. And if we're being honest, this game probably had some of the worst voice acting in any Star Wars game.
Master Qui-Gon, I failed you, but I won't fail you again.
I'm Anakin Skywalker.
This is Anakin in 2001's Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds.
I'm not afraid. I've come to rescue you.
The great thing about this game is that you can attack an entire Tusken village using Anakin, and it's all part of the normal gameplay. People have also used the game to have an entire army of Anakins face off against an entire army of Tuskens.
Let's go!
What if, 8 years after Sebulba was humiliated by a young Anakin Skywalker in the Boonta Eve Classic, he made a comeback swearing revenge against a now much older Anakin? Well, that's the story of 2002 Star Wars Racer Revenge.
My master will be proud.
But not only can you race as Attack of the Clones Anakin, who I'm pretty sure doesn't even wear a helmet, you can also unlock Little Boy Anakin as one of the special characters for getting a lap record on every track. What you're looking at here is the first playable version of the Attack of the Clones Anakin. Yep, the version of Anakin who most strongly hates sand. This is Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, released for the Game Boy Advance in 2002, and if you look close enough, you can even see a couple pixels they've used for Anakin's Padawan braid. Although this game has no voice lines, it was one of the first Star Wars games that allowed you to deflect blaster bolts. It also included a mission where you pilot the speeder through Coruscant and chase after Zam Wesell. And on top of this, the game had some of the weirdest enemies in any Star Wars game. Strange droids, but most importantly, in true Anakin style, a mission entirely dedicated to slaughtering the village of Tusken Raiders.
Master, I'm sure Obi-Wan and I would be of more use to you at Murgoshire.
Remember what cutscenes looked like back in 2002?
Be mindful of your tone, my Padawan. Do not forget that you are still but a learner.
There was something a bit off about characters' faces. There was in this game anyway.
Dooku, I'm gonna make you pay for what you've done.
This is Anakin in Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Where am I?
Along with all the vehicle combat in this game, you're also able to play as Anakin wielding his lightsaber.
We can escape on those steps over there.
In some ways, this game was a precursor to Star Wars Battlefront with its vehicle and ground combat. Oh, and Anakin is played by Matt Lucas, who also portrayed Anakin in Battlefront 2,
Let's get on with this.
in the Revenge of the Sith game, and in the Cartoon Network Clone Wars series. This is Anakin in Star Wars The New Droid Army, the Game Boy Advance game from 2002. Set after the events of Attack of the Clones, you play as Anakin for the entire game, travel to a few different planets, and try and weed out the threat of a new type of battle droid. And from this point forward, Anakin didn't actually make another appearance in a video game until 2005's LEGO Star Wars The Video Game, which featured 3 different versions of Anakin: Boy Anakin, Padawan Anakin, and Jedi Knight Anakin, starting a trend for the many Anakins that were going to appear in future LEGO games. We'll come to that soon. But also, you might have noticed there never would be a Jedi Master version of Anakin in any one of these LEGO Star Wars games. Oh, and there's also a Game Boy Advance version, which was different to the console. In 2005, one of the most disturbing things in all of gaming occurred. Anakin's death sound from the Revenge of the Sith video game made its way into existence, into our ears, and into our hearts. Possibly one of the best movie tie-in games. You play as Anakin on half the missions in the game, the other half you played as Obi-Wan, and upon defeating Anakin in the final mission on Mustafar, we're presented with a bonus mission where you'd play out Anakin's duel with Obi-Wan on Mustafar from Anakin's perspective, with one of the most controversial alternate endings of all time.
Excellent work, my
No way! Also, I think this is the only game that gives Anakin Force Lightning, which you can even unlock and use while he's still on the light side of the Force, and right in front of Obi-Wan. Anakin, did you just use Force Lightning? Oh, and Anakin also appeared in the DS version, which was a completely different game, but also really cool. Did you know that in 2005 Star Wars Battlefront 2, Anakin is only playable as a villain? He's unlockable on Mustafar and during the campaign's Order 66 mission on Coruscant in the Jedi Temple, where he wears a hood. Anakin's abilities in Battlefront 2 include saber throw and force choke, and epic voice lines.
That was exhilarating.
This is the Battle Above Coruscant mobile game from 2005, where you play as Anakin in his yellow Jedi Starfighter and play through the battle over Coruscant. What a game. Now, Anakin did also appear in LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy from 2006, but only if you used your old save files from the first game. You can also play as Anakin in Empire at War from 2006. Look, there he is. And then LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga featured not 3 versions of Anakin, but 4. With the new edition of Force Ghost Anakin unlockable as a bonus character. All of the other Anakins remain the same, including Little Boy Anakin, who many people believe is the most useless character in the entire game. And the films. In 2008, the educational game Star Wars Jedi Math released for the Leapster, featuring one of the first versions of Clone Wars Anakin in a video game. Also one of the first times we see Anakin with Ahsoka in a video game, even though you can't actually play as him.
Kiari Mundi.
This is Star Wars The Clone Wars Jedi Alliance, one of the first Clone Wars themed games based on the movie and TV series, where you'd play as Anakin through an entirely original story made for this game. It was released in 2008 for the Nintendo DS.
Buzz droids.
Star Wars Clone Wars Lightsaber Duels was released in 2008 for the Nintendo Wii and is the first Star Wars fighting game to be released since Masters of Teräs Käsi all the way back from 1997, which some people say is the worst or hardest Star Wars game ever made. You'd play as Anakin and could actually swing your Wii remote like a lightsaber and hopefully not destroy anything in your living room.
And when oh, jeez. And there goes.
You might not have known that Anakin actually makes a few appearances in 2008's Star Wars The Force Unleashed, but there are actually a few different versions of this game with different game modes that make things quite confusing. First of all, on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC versions, unlockable as a costume with Character Pack 1 DLC. But the PSP version features several bonus missions which actually let you play as the real Anakin, including his final duel with Count Dooku, his duel with Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and a few others. He's also unlockable on the handheld versions as a skin with the cheat code Chosen One. 2009 Star Wars Clone Wars Republic Heroes is by far one of the worst Star Wars games ever made due to its horrendous platforming. So playing as Anakin in this game, you'll likely spend most of your time falling off ledges and screaming at the screen. You can give Anakin a sweet hat, which you can't do in other games, so. In 2010, the online virtual world of Clone Wars Adventures let you face off against Anakin as part of your training. How epic. Now, LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars released in 2011 and features two different versions of Anakin not seen in any other LEGO game up to this point. First, Anakin is playable in the prologue with a green lightsaber as he used in the Geonosis arena. Also, it's interesting that here he has longer hair, even though this takes place during the Attack of the Clones when he was still rocking the ratty. And then Clone Wars Anakin is also playable with his blue lightsaber, with LEGO Star Wars 3 being one of the last LEGO games in which the characters only grunt and mumble. Anakin appears in Kinect Star Wars from 2012, the dancing game. Although I'm pretty sure he only appears in the pod racing game mode where you can pilot his pod racer. Save the dancing for Darth Vader. Anakin also appears in Angry Birds Star Wars from 2012, but in his redeemed form after taking off Darth Vader's helmet. In 2013, Anakin was also playable in Angry Birds Star Wars 2, where he was known as Redkin Skywalker, which I believe was a dark side character. Also 2013, and Anakin could be seen in the Clone Wars Star Wars Pinball.
Major hyperspace lane.
Now, can you just imagine how cool it would be if a real pinball table had these kinds of graphics and 3D projections? Also, why does this game exist? No one knows. This next Star Wars game gets completely forgotten and is underrated, but is more violent than you may remember. Anakin appears in 2015's Disney Infinity 3.0, wearing his Revenge of the Sith outfit, slicing up enemies into little pieces. This is Anakin from 2015 Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the mobile game. Now, in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens from 2016, we have two versions of Anakin, Revenge of the Sith Anakin with his blue lightsaber and little boy pod racer Anakin. So we keep dropping off Anakins in the LEGO game, so wait, I promised you more. And then we have 2017's Star Wars Battlefront 2, featuring possibly the most impressive Anakin in a video game to date, complete with customizable voice lines and emotes, victory poses, and 3 different appearances, Jedi Knight, Jedi Robes, and General Skywalker, based on his Clone Wars appearance. Anakin was added to the game after not being included at launch with the Chosen One update, and I'm glad he was the Chosen One. What this game would have been without him? Controversial. More controversial than it already was. I don't know if that's possible. But as impressive as that was, no game compares to the amount of Anakin appearances in LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga from 2022. We've got Little Boy Annie, Pod Racer Annie, Pilot Annie, Attack of the Clones Anakin with Padawan Braid, Geonosis Arena Anakin also with Braid and a green lightsaber, Episode 3 Anakin with a cape, Episode 3 Anakin without a cape, Yellow Eyes Anakin after he's turned to the dark side, and Charred Anakin Skywalker, who you'll notice actually has metal limbs. This is basically what a naked Darth Vader looks like. And if you're into LEGO games, then you might enjoy this video about the history of LEGO Star Wars games, which features some I'm sure you probably haven't heard of. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew, I'll catch you soon.